Okay, cool. So that sounds good. So again, be on the anybody that's viewing this show, be on the lookout, especially if you're if you're an F1 fan, Indy fan. Eric just completed his interview. He unfortunately we haven't been able to get a one-on-one interview scheduled yet. That's coming. We got to set that up sometime soon. But you just were in on a Zoom call with Felix Rosenquist and Alex Palou. So how'd that go?
Colton Herta was the other
Cole Herta.
Not Palou. Yeah, Palou's in the center of a lot of this, but Colton
so it was Rosenquist and Colton Herta.
And Herta, yes.
Got it. Anyway, so check that out. We'll post it up on the website later today as well. And we'll start some F1 coverage for sure next year on the channel. All right. So Indianapolis. Wow. I can understand why the drivers don't like it. I can completely understand. It's almost like Daytona and Talladega, except in a road course.
Yep.
But for viewers, I like it. I mean, because you never know what's going to happen. It's crazy. That's why I said last week when we previewed it, I was throwing all sorts of names in there because I felt this was going to happen. You were going to get some weird crashes and some crazy driver who's going to end up winning. And I know you went for the exact opposite, but if they continue to race at this road course next year and for years to come, I think your strategy has to change. I think it's got to be just bad luck.
I went back this week the other way. It's like, okay, I tried that experiment. That didn't work because it's in a weird way. Like you said, this is like a super speedway for road courses. It's like a Daytona. You got comers and goers. There isn't. I feel like Indy on this road course is finally what I noticed when I was saying this on Sunday. You don't go to this race thinking like it was on the oval and you have the same guys in the top 5 all day. You had comers and goers because of strategy. There wasn't – I feel like everybody had a turn up front. Everybody was up front at some point during the race. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, this guy's – I'm sick of seeing him in the top 5. Like, I don't want that car there anymore. You didn't have that. And you had at one point I had to get a piece of paper out, and I'm writing it down. I'm like, let me look at when's the last time these guys pit? When's the last time?
What about Blaney?
There were 4 different
Blaney
strategies.
Go two stages without pitting almost?
He pit, yeah. Well, he went complete. So what he did is he almost went he pit at the very end of the second stage. And that was the last time he took tires. He only changed tires once.
Crazy.
And then he went the rest of the way. He went fuel only. So I got some interesting. I was talking to some of the drivers in the garage, just kind of like an informal, like a bullpen. And I was asking them this past weekend about the use of like IndyCar and F1 have, like we talked about in the show, an option tire. IndyCar has the red tires and the black tires. Should NASCAR experiment with something like this? Would that help the show a little bit? At least help with strategy and passing. All of them, but one driver was okay with it. The one driver who seemed kind of grumpy, Kevin Harvick, he didn't want to be on the road course anyways. He only wants the oval at Indy. Everybody else is like, yeah, that would be something we should look into. Because I feel like strategy, I feel like that'd be another wrinkle that NASCAR could use. Because there is strategy plays galore. I mean, there's 4 different strategies during that race. But I feel like if you had that little wrinkle of a different strategy would help the passing aspect. Because I still feel like it was kind of difficult to pass other than turn 1's craziness. But if you throw in a different tire and the fall off of one and the other one maybe not so much, I feel like that would make almost bulletproof. I feel like that race, because I gave you everything you wanted. There was chaos, different strategies. Everybody had a turn up front. You never knew how it was going to play out, even knowing that, Reddick, because he ended up winning it. But oddly enough, like I was talking to Austin Cindric after the race, the guys that started first and second finished first and second, but it was complete chaos for them to get the first and second. There wasn't like it was those same 2 guys ran away and they weren't so I think that makes Indy, to me, separate a little bit from the other road courses. Was that the other road courses didn't really run like that. You could do different pitch strategies, but this one was bizarre. Like I said, at some point of the day, it was. So it was different. And after seeing the TV numbers, over 2 million, it was the highest rated NBC race other than last year. And I forget which race it was last year. So if you think of that, out of all the playoff races last year, Indy beat them all. It beat every rating, which granted we're young season still on the NBC network, but it's the highest one. It was the most attended. It beat last year's road course race attendance wise, and it was higher than the last year that they ran it on the oval when fans were allowed in 2019. So
nobody wants to
I don't
see
know how
that
you change
oval
it
again. Nobody wants, unless the new car changes things a little bit. Maybe I just, it was so boring.
I don't know
there.
if it would look like what Pocono did, which was a
It was
better,
better, yeah.
But I feel like this helps every team get to the front, and I feel like that's what they're after. This is what they want. You don't want the same 3 or 4 cars in the top 5 all day. This one, you didn't have that at all. So with all the metrics up, why would you change it?
No.
I don't know why you would.
Not at all.
So
that's why, yeah.
Now there was a rumor, and it had validity because Roger Penske and Doug Bulls both admitted that this was in discussion, that they're probably, whenever the next contract comes up, going to sprinkle the oval in there. You might run 3 years on the road course, go to the oval, 3 more years on the road course, throw in the oval. The kind of switch it up and make it like, hey, if you want to see the oval, you better come because it's not going to be here for another 3 years. That way it keeps the drivers happy. Like, hey, you still get to run the oval if you're around in a couple of years. But again, does that going to expose the oval? How does that look? You go to the oval, I'm like, well, that was a stink show.
Yeah. If you're going to do that again and it stinks again, then you don't go back.
Because the risk is, I feel like, if that's the case and it does stink up the joint, like, man, that was boring. The ones that show up, do they come to the road course the next year? Do you lose them?
Influence them, sure. Absolutely.
So, yeah. So that's where that one stands.
So, fantasy-wise, that was a disaster for you because Kurt Busch, for the second straight week, did not race. So you lost him. Larson, Almirola, you got nothing out of those guys. You barely got anything out of Chastain because of what happened at the end of the race and that was just so ridiculous. I mean, it just really was. I mean, that would have been so embarrassing if Chastain would have crossed the finish line first. They're so lucky that Chastain did not cross that finish line first. So
because if he would have, that would have. Well, and I get his reasoning, and that's what's good, I guess, about being at the track, different than at home, because it's like, all right, I'm going to go see his reasoning. Because he talked after the race, and then he got a chance to see the replay, and he sold me. Because at first I'm like, what in the hell is he doing? Like, he just completely did a turn.
Where's he going?
Then he magically appears, and then it's like, oh, he's back on track battling for the lead. And then I see something needs to change in the fact that that's 2 years in a row now that somebody was penalized and could have affected the outcome of the race. Because what if he wrecked Tyler Reddick going for the win? But his wording made sense. Is he had to go straight. He didn't make it 4 wide. Other car, he was minding his own business. He was going to pass 1 car, and then ended up 2 more came alongside. And like he said, Blaney, Suarez, and Cindric were below him on the inside. And this is where race car drivers, I guess, have the feel in the car was like, this isn't going to work. I can't if I turn, I'm turning into a wreck. They're going to wreck. I'm going to go straight. And they wrecked. So he was right in that sense that why turn why wreck yourself? So let me just avoid it. And like he said, I get the ruling. You're not supposed to improve your position. But he's like, my side is technically I went from 4th to 2nd, but I didn't improve my position in the sense that the guys in front of me wrecked. I can't help it that I came back out and the 2 guys that were battling wrecked and slowed up the other guy. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't stop and wait for the guys that are wrecked. So I made a split-second decision. I kept going. So I get that. And then Tyler Reddick even acknowledged it yesterday, saying, hey, I watched the replay finally. And he said, if I was in the exact same situation as him, I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah, they just can't allow that to happen, though. Like, it's their own fault. They should just, hey, if you go that way, it's just no good. We're not going to allow you to go back in for any.
I think
just
put cones up.
Yeah, you just can't do it.
Don't go that way, and let these drivers take care of themselves. If you're going to make it 4 wide, if you're dumb enough to think 4 cars are going to fit through that turn, then you deserve to wreck. Yeah. These other guys, then you get out and beat the other 2 into oblivion, and then it gets a fist fight for us. We all get to watch them on national TV, and and there's more drama.
It is crazy. Yeah. So, so as far as the fantasy, pretty much our standing stayed the same.
Terrible day for me.
But yep, you lost a bunch of points there. So, meanwhile,
wasn't it? I think I have it here. Like 5 of the top 6 or 5 of the top 7, none of us even owned.
Yeah,
it was just such a fluke.
Yep. Except for Reddick,
I had a terrible
Reddick
day,
and Cindric, the top 2.
Yep, that was it.
Yep. Now
So,
I made it.
That tells you
I
everything.
changed that. I said last week that if Bubba Wallace had another good result, that I was going to make a switch, and I did. So I went back to Bubba was on my team at the beginning of the season. So I went back to Bubba.
He was kind of back to what. Yep.
And why not? He's got 3 straight top 10s. Something's working.
He looks like he's found new life again. He's driving a Toyota in a sense that Michigan could be a good track for him. Toyota looked good in Pocono. That was a faster track, like a not a speedway, Pocono, but it's a bigger track. Michigan's about speed and horsepower. Ford has dominated there in the past, but I don't feel good about Ford right now. Other than the Penske camp, Logano struggled. That's why you're getting good odds on him for a manufacturer that's won 7 straight races at Michigan. I don't feel great about him. Toyota and Chevy is the only 2 left, and Hendrick hasn't necessarily done great there. So the door's open for Bubba and Toyota. Richmond, we saw how good Toyota has been at Richmond. He drives a Toyota. Daytona, we know how good he is at Daytona. So you might get 3 good weeks out of Bubba here. 3 of the 4.
Better. You look at those playoff standings, and look, even Blaney has to maybe sweat a little bit, but I mean, he lost some points going from whatever 3rd to 27th too, whatever he finished up because of that.
He
crash.
Wasn't happy.
Yeah, I can imagine all that strategy for nothing. That was a bummer.
Yep.
If you're in the Blaney camp. But Truex, I mean, he remained pretty much the same, 96-point lead over Harvick. And if you take a look at it, Truex, so and we don't know about this week, as you said, with Toyota with Michigan, but next week, that's Truex's opportunity that he has got to take advantage of. But Harvick, he was 2nd at Richmond this year. So that's his best result this year, but Truex, 7 straight top 5s at Richmond with 3 wins. And he was 4th this year, leading 80 laps, and he's led over 1,200 laps combined in the last 11 Richmond races. So Harvick and Truex, these next 2 weeks, they both want to get wins, and they don't want to have to deal with what could possibly happen if someone steals, especially Truex, if somebody steals a win at Daytona.
Yeah, this is what I was saying last week. These are the 2. If they don't get it done these 2 weeks, you can almost
forget Watkins Glen.
You can forget about
They're
it.
Not going to be involved.
Yep. Well, Toyota, as we saw this past weekend, they weren't great at Indy. They weren't great at all the road courses, so you could take them out of it. Daytona, Truex is terrible at super speedways.
Harvick hasn't really done very well at Daytona for some time now.
For years. Yep, for years. And he hasn't been particularly strong. He's just been solid on road courses this year, but not great. I mean, look at Indy. If him and Bowman don't make contact that late in the race, you don't even probably know he's even in the race. They didn't even talk about him. So really, this is it for these 2. And Harvick, I think I wrote in there that SHR has won twice in the last 65 races. That's it.
Wow.
And none of them are by Harvick. He hasn't won in 66 races himself, so he has to win. He's too far out now.
Oh, yeah.
And then if he does win, then Truex has to win. So I think we're starting to get to the point where there's a very real chance both of them may not make the playoffs.
Possible.
I could see it a way that Daytona, Bubba can win, like we just talked about. Chris Buescher, hell, his car was on fire, and he still came back to finish 10th at Indy for 3 straight road. So what happens if Watkins Glen goes clear for him? What happens if Keselowski wins Daytona? I mean, there's a chance we can have 2 more winners not named, Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., and Kevin Harvick, and all 3 of them are out.
That is true.
So this could get interesting here in the next this month. Basically, this month.
That's why
the final month of the regular
season. They're both good at Richmond. And we'll get into this Michigan deal here as take a look at it. Now, again, they didn't race. What is it? So the main difference still at Michigan and California is just the pavement being old at California and newer at Michigan.
Yeah, that's the main difference. I mean, yeah, they're like, oh, there's a bump in this part, or there's seams, and well, that's because the track's not paved. Michigan's paved. Michigan's completely newly paved a few years ago.
How do you think that's going
the main difference?
Because if you look and remember what happened at Fontana this year, that was fun. That was a good race.
Yep.
There was a lot of action going on. There was a lot of banging with cars, and it was a very exciting race. Do you think that will have the same type of race?
Maybe not so much because it is newly paved. I don't think the track will have the character yet. So I think it just depends on if the resin or traction compound, if they use that and it actually works. Because I know sometimes it doesn't work. It'll be more trying to get a second groove or Fontana because the aged surfaces and those seams, you can get multiple grooves. This one is more a track position, horsepower, who can stay up front. So, I mean, new car. Maybe they could draft better pass.
Yeah.
That's but if it's anything like the past, this one's going to be more about track position and who has the speed.
Yeah, because if you look at it, 12 of the last 16 winners have started in the top 10. 10 of the last 16 have started in the top 3, including 6 pole sitters. That, for a 2-mile track, just shows you how speed matters at Michigan. As you mentioned, Ford has won 7 straight. Toyota has not won in the last 11 races at Michigan since 2015. On the flip side, if you take a look at California this year, Chevy was in the top 4 with Larson winning. Reddick, though, if you also look at it, so they have the top 4. Larson basically steals the win late. Reddick was really the dominant Chevy. He led 90 laps, and if it wasn't for, what was it, a tire issue, I think, something?
Tire. Yep.
He probably could have won the race at California, and he finished 24th. So Chevy was actually, if you're comparing which make actually performed the best at the 2-mile track this year, was Chevy.
Yep, they're the ones that we'll see if and it could be out. I haven't looked today. It's been a busy day of news, which if we get to the video, they'll come out later. If you could find a bet, they're out there every week, so it'll be out there soon, of manufacturer to win. There's Ford, Chevy, Toyota. This will be an interesting week to maybe cash in on that Chevy bet. I'd be curious where the odds sit, because it'd be hard for me as an odds maker not to still give Ford the favorite nod when they've won 7 straight there. I mean, how do you not make them the favorites? So Toyota, like you just said, they haven't won at Michigan since 2015. They're 1 for their last 19. So they're probably the low end. So Chevy probably falls in the middle, I would think. You might get a plus number on that category. You might think, you know what, I'm going to get every Chevy driver in their camp if I just want to bet the manufacturer.
I got it. Wow.
You found it?
What do you think it should be?
I'd probably have Ford minus 140, Chevy plus 110, and Toyota plus 230.
Chevy plus 100.
Huh?
Toyota plus 150.
Ooh.
You ready for this?
So Ford's got to be the under.
Plus 425.
Holy smokes for a team. I forget everything I said. Maybe throw a little bit Ford's way. I can't believe they have
4 to 1.
They must.
That's crazy. 4 to 1
won 7
to win a race.
Straight
For a manufacturer.
And I'm sure we'll get the. Yeah, that is wild for the
now
manufacturer.
Again, this is from DraftKings, so I'd have to even check like at Bovada, who I use. Everybody's different, but that's DraftKings.
I mean, you're getting Penske with Blaney. He's got 5 top 10s in his last 7 at Michigan. He won there last year. He showed speed at Indy. The only reason his finish isn't indicative because he was spun late. Cindric, not saying he's going to win, but I'm not saying he's not. When his last 7, 5th, 7th, 7th, 3rd, 13th, 31st, 2nd. Harvick, who's always good at Michigan. I mean, that Ford camp, you're getting all these guys.
You're getting 360 at Bovada on Ford. Still good.
Still worth it early.
It's still good.
Because if they come out and qualify well, then those odds are going to drop.
Why do you think that is considered? Vegas usually sticks with the trends. Why do you think Ford would be considered a long shot?
They must be saying they've got to be saying then that they're not looking at past stats; they're looking at the season.
Yeah.
Would be what that tells me, because Ford's only won twice in the last 16 races on the season, so they must be taking that into effect. Yeah, because they haven't won since Gateway, and then they won Darlington, and that's it since Phoenix in the spring. So that's probably what they're saying is they don't think Ford, but
probably also, well, I mean, if you think about it too, at California, once you get past the top four Chevys, you do have Ford before you even get to Kurt Busch Toyota. I mean, Truex was 13th, Busch was 14th, Hamlin was 15th. Those are your top three Toyotas. So why would Toyota be a better bargain, not a better bargain, but a favorite over Ford?
that doesn't make any sense to me.
None.
I would have thought they would have tried to baited you into getting Chevy, and hey, that's the obvious. Ford's won 7 in a row. Let's put him here. Let's bait you over here. They're almost baiting you with the favorite, because this is one of those things. If Ford wins, you're going to look back and be like, I had it at plus 450 if I wanted it back on Tuesday, and yeah, that's almost one of those too good to be trues. Hey. This is the one you look back and you kick yourself on. That is like, it was right there in front of me, and I didn't take it.
We only agreed on 3 drivers.
Larson?
No.
Who? Elliott?
No.
Wow. Hamlin. Is Hamlin?
No.
Wow, so we're going deeper then. Harvick?
Yes, it seems like that's always the case.
Yeah, because he's too deep. You got to take it. Truex maybe at 15-1?
Dude, we were all on the same page here with the Fords.
Okay.
Harvick?
So then Cindric?
No.
Oh, Blaney,
yes.
Obviously. I figured Cindric 50-1 would be Briscoe?
No. You're the only one who took
Logano?
Cindric.
Logano?
So okay. we all took Blaney.
I almost did it, but
what's that?
20-1.
I know. I didn't understand 20-1. That should have been a tip-off right there. That, wait a second, what's up with the Fords? How is Joey Logano 20-1?
Again, I think they're looking at, he's only got 2 top 5s since April in their wins. But again, if this season has shown anything, I don't think past stats. He just finished 6th. It's not like he hasn't had great speed. I mean, he's got 2 wins, and this is a good track for him. So I'm like, for 20-1, I will go that way. If he was like 12-1, 14-1, I might have thought a little bit about it. But 20-1 is like, no brainer. I'm going his direction.
He has 17 top 10s in 25 races at Michigan.
And you're getting him for 20-1.
And he's 7 top 5s, 3 of those wins. And how about this? He's won since 2013. He's won every 3 years. He's won 13, 16, 19.
22. He's right up there. And he drives the number 22
He was also 5th of California this year.
There you go.
20-1. We'll take it.
Seems like, yep.
I was even surprised
he's 20-1.
I was even surprised how much they've been usually on top of Blaney, that they just put 12-1. I thought Blaney was going to have a much lower number than 12-1. I was all right.
That shocked me, especially when he won last year and he's got the same odds as William Byron, who only has 1 top 10 in his last 13 races. And you put him in the same grouping as Blaney. I like that.
It has to be because of, you know what I think it is with Byron? He was 2nd in this race last year, and he was good at California this year, even though he finished 34th. He had that late wreck. He's the one that hit Reddick.
Yep.
When Reddick had the tire issue.
Yep. So, they must be looking at that, but I feel like he's a completely different driver now than he was. So I'll take him. I'll take a Blaney at 12-1 than Byron right now at 12-1.
And Reddick's 12-1. Now, I was the only one that took him, and I understand why you guys didn't take him. It's hard for anybody to win back-to-back. I just put a little bit of money on him to hedge my bet, just because of the fact that if he does win, I will feel stupid. Because, as we just said, he was probably the best driver at California this year. And let's keep in mind, he won stage 1 and stage 2 there, leading 90 laps. And also on the season, in his last 5 races, he's got 2 wins and a runner-up. I mean, if that's Chase Elliott, I mean, he's 4-1 to win this race.
Yes, 100%.
You know?
The only thing I thought I didn't go on him was, like you said, winning 2 in a row would be difficult. His 3 Michigan finishes are 18th, 24th, and 29th. Michigan, he's a good driver on age surfaces, Darlingtons, Homesteads, like those type of tracks, Fontana.
Pocono
So
impressed me.
maybe
Though.
Michigan.
Pocono's result did impress me.
It did. And you probably noticed with my bet, I went back in on futures with Reddick a little bit because I said last year I feel like the team was done. Or last week, the team, he's moving on. I bet you they buy him out. There's rumors. Chill just admitted they didn't even talk. And since he made that announcement, he wins. It forces him to talk. Richard was like, nope, he's my driver in 2023. I'm past it. I'm not happy, but we'll get through it. We're going to win this thing together. And then you start looking at him. It's like, man, he had 3 top 2s in 5 races last month.
Yeah.
They're all saying they're all in. I believe him now. You can feel it. An Indy win can do that for it. It's like he's got some good odds for futures for a guy that he won at Indy. He's won it, or he's second at Pocono. He's got some speed. We know what he can do in the playoffs. The Roval, he's won 2 straight road courses. The Roval's in the second round. He's good, like I said, at Homestead. What's in the third round? Homestead. He could get you to the championship 4 just by maximizing what he's already good on.
Possible.
So,
I mean, like Chastain, I feel good now that I put in money on Reddick early. That's also because I picked him up early. Matter of fact, I think Reddick was the one I picked up and I dropped Wallace.
I think you're right.
It was either Bell or Reddick, one of the two. Wait. Did you have Reddick?
I traded
you traded me Reddick. That was the Larson deal.
Yes.
Larson and Kurt Busch for
Reddick and yes.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So that's turning out to be a pretty even deal.
It was.
Well, Kurt Busch has really screwed things up.
Yeah, those last 2 weeks, and there's no guarantee he'll race this week. So we'll see if that.
If I was you, I give him one more week, and then I'm ditching him. Because you can't rely on him. Then you're getting 0 points every week.
No, and the other scary thing is if we get 3 more winners, he's the low totem pole. He may not even make the playoffs.
That's interesting.
He may be the light. Yeah, right now he's the lowest in points among the winners because he's missed 2 races. So there's a chance you get 3 winners and he's not in the playoffs anymore. So now I got a guy that scored me no points, not even in the playoffs. That won't help me.
Now, you guys both took Elliott, Larson, and Hamlin. So you went that route again. Me, I understand why you went with Elliott and Larson, no question. Just talked about the Chevys. So, and we know how good they are too. And Larson's got 3 wins at Michigan. Matter of fact, he won 3 straight, 2016, 2017. Again, winning California. 3rd in this race last year, leading 70 laps. And we know Elliott is 10 top 10s in 11 races at Michigan. So he didn't have a good week in California, but who knows? That might have had a lot to do with the track as far as the old.
Well, and remember, too, he was running towards the front. Remember him and Larson had a run-in.
They did, yes.
That kind of started their kind of feud. The only thing with him about Michigan scared me is he's a great fantasy play. He's a great guy that's going to get a top 10. He hasn't had a lot of top 5s there. He hasn't had a lot of – he started off, I think, with like 3 straight runner-ups. Yeah. And he really didn't get a lot of top 5s since. There was a lot of top 10s. Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think he's had – so – but with 5 top 2s in the last 6 races on the season, and arguably if he doesn't spin in the second last restart, he's probably got another top 2 coming in. He was just too hot to punt on somebody. I mean, you're still getting, 6-1 odds.
That's not bad,
for a guy with 5 top 2s. So I'm like, if he was 4-1, I probably would have punted him. 6-1, I'd be mad if I didn't take him.
I don't understand what Kyle Busch is doing at 6-1. Me, frankly. I mean, nobody's got Kyle Busch this week. For that obvious reason. Why would we take Kyle Busch at 6-1?
And he even admitted he's got 9 straight top 10s at Michigan. All of them but one.
And 5 of those are top 5s.
However, he just mentioned on Saturday that this is affecting him. This contract talks. He's lost his focus.
About it last week.
He's having sleepless nights. Yep. And it's affecting him. So when he just said that, and you look at his finishes still, he's not – when you can get at better odds elsewhere, not for 6-1.
He doesn't have a
He
top
would-
10 in his last 7 races.
Yeah.
Why would we,
doesn't.
first of all, pick him? Second of all, why would we pick him at 6-1?
Yeah, just doesn't make sense. That's why I punted on
Somebody
him. There's
screwed
no
up
way
his
for
odds
that.
this week. I just don't understand. They're going in with like reputation and a completely different mindset than what is actually taking place.
I don't know why him and Truex weren't flip-flopped. That would have been a better accurate representation.
Yeah, 15-1 for Truex, and he's got 5 straight top 10s, 4 of those top 5s at Michigan. And so he's got 10 top 5s over his career, which is nice. And we know how desperate he is for a win.
Yep. He's got 6 top 6s there in his last 9. And in fact, you could say his car has shown more speed than Busch's here lately anyways. So to me, they would bait you more on picking Kyle Busch for those odds if you had him at 15-1, Truex at 6-1. But that was my determining factor. I'm like, well, Truex has a better car right now, and his mind's a little bit clearer compared.
Much clearer.
Different situation. He just knows he needs to win, or Busch knows, what's my future? I don't even think about now. I don't even know what I'm doing next year. So yeah, 15-1 was a no-brainer to go that route over 6-1 on the other route.
Hamlin, he's got 2 wins. Last year, actually, if you take a look at it, his last 4 races, I believe, at Michigan, 5, he finished 5th, 2nd, 6th, and 2nd. So he's solid there overall. 5th last year, as I mentioned. The only thing is his odds are 7-1 now. This is like the lowest odds I've seen Denny Hamlin in quite a while. And again, it's like, why? I know how good he is. But he's been very good at a lot of other tracks that his odds have been 10 or 12-1. I don't understand this infatuation this week with having Kyle Busch 6-1 and Denny Hamlin 7-1.
Yeah, to me, it should have been probably 6-1. I would have probably done Elliott Larson co-favorites at 6-1. I probably 7-1 would have had Truex and
maybe Blaney.
Yep, and then your 12-1s probably Logano, a Reddick, a Chastain, maybe. Yeah, but the fact you got in Hamlin, I just took him just because he could win anywhere and he's 7-1, and somebody's got to win this race. But I thought 7-1 was too steep too. I feel like he should have been 10 or 12-1, but 7-1, I don't understand where they're coming from for those odds.
And CJ is the only one that took Chastain. I just couldn't take Chastain because he didn't finish well at California. He did not race well ever at Michigan because this year is different from every other year. So I just couldn't take him this week.
He just didn't feel right at 7-1. There's just something I saw that I'm like, this doesn't sit right with me. So I quickly scrolled down after that.
Let's see. And then we mentioned some of those other ones at the top. As far as the 25-1 drivers, this is when it gets interesting because we both took Harvick, Suarez, and Wallace. I went with all 4, Harvick, Suarez, Wallace, and Jones. As far as the only one we all left out was Bowman because I don't know what's going on with Bowman right now. Something's going on. You would think that he doesn't know what his future's like, the way he's racing.
The way
him and Byron.
Just last night. He ran the midget race here last night when we went to, and he stopped midway through, and because you could go over the wall and meet the drivers afterwards, and I want to say within 10 minutes they were car loaded up, canopy down, tires up, gone. I'm like, there's something up with him. It's like he wasn't running well even last night in the midget against other guys, and just something seems off.
I wonder if he's having any personal issues.
It makes you wonder, or this contract talk, if we were talking, are they looking at buying him out? And he's just mad. I mean,
something's going on.
You look at he's got no top 5s at Michigan. You look at his last 3, 21st, 36, 16.
He's never led a lap.
No top. No. So, yeah, he was 4 of his last 6 races on the year, 32nd or worse. Yes. It's like, you're, dare I say, running worse now than you were with like BK Racing several years ago. You're running at that level. Like, I don't know what's going on.
And the weird thing about it is, up until, I don't know, Gateway maybe? Sonoma? Up until that point, he was having a very good season. This was his best season. There was a lot of consistency. There were a lot of top 10s. It wasn't just, I'm going to steal a win here or there. But something has taken place in the last 6 or 7 weeks that's just got, what's going on? So, I don't know.
That's what I wonder if that contract. Yeah, he had 9 top 10s by the time we left the Coke 600 Memorial Day. and he's not even sniffed it since. Not even been close. And that's about the time those rumors were getting started. So
what do you think?
Maybe there's more to it.
Let us know, if the viewers, if anybody knows what's up with Alex Bowman. If you have any gossip, let us know. But the other guys, Harvick is a no-brainer. 15 top fives and 5 wins in his 41 races there. 8 top fives overall in his last 12, with 2 runner-ups and 4 wins. And he was 7th at California. And we know how desperate he is for a win. So he's at 25-1. You're just begging us to take him. That's why I put big money on Harvick. I put 17 on Harvick at 25-1.
Yeah, no brainer to go them this week. You can't avoid for that odds. And again, Michigan, like we talked about, runs like a road course. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that you could go off strategy, pit before stage breaks. They've got to swing for the fences, and it could work out for them. So some of those desperate guys you got to take, because they can't, like Blaney did last week, no tires for the entire end of the race. It's like, you've got to do something. Yeah. So I don't know why you wouldn't.
Suarez, let's remember that he was leading California with 3 laps to go. And that was the beginning of us going, hey, what's going on here with Suarez? He almost won that race. And ever since then, we actually know why he's having such a good season, because he was really going to turn out to be a good driver this year. But that was almost a win. And so that makes sense why we both took Suarez. And Wallace, we talked about him on the last 3 this year, 5th, 8th, and 3rd. And then I took Jones. I was actually surprised neither one of you guys dabbled in with Jones. He started 2nd at California, finished 3rd, led 18 laps, almost won. He was right there at the end battling for the lead. He won stages 1 and finished 2nd at stages for 1 and 2 at California. So that was not a fluke at what he did at California. And he's got 2 top 10s in his last 4 races.
Yeah, I at that point was running out of money because I went with more longer shots. I took top heavy, and I saw some guys in the middle. I'm like, you know what? These guys are so long in the bottom that it's a big track. Anybody could win that. And I think there's rain in the forecast, so you never know if something like that happens. Yeah. So, I just feel like, is he really going to win a race on pure pace on a horsepower track with a petty car? I just this may not be his week for it. So I went further, as we mentioned here in a second. I went some of my picks. I went pretty deep.
Yeah,
we'll some of these guys, but
50-1. I went with Briscoe and Dillon, and you went with Cindric, as we mentioned. I was kind of surprised Cindric is 50-1. That's a big number, because Cindric is
that was too.
Look at it. What does he have now? 5 top 7s in his last 7.
Yep, runner up last week.
So it makes a lot of sense. And by the way, he started on the pole at California.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Week after winning Daytona 500. Yep.
And Briscoe, I put a few bucks on him. He actually had a pretty good week in California. Pretty good race. Finished 16th.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. And then Dillon, 2nd at California. We know he was right there. We remember he was right there for the win late. And he does have 5 top 10s and 18 races at Michigan, which is pretty good for Austin Dillon. So I figured, why not put a few bucks on him too? And he needs to win if he's going to get to the playoffs.
He's got to win. Yeah, he's got to win. He could. I mean, he was running well last year. Remember, he got wrecked by Keselowski, which made that Life in the Fast Lane show he's on. They keep talking about. Yep. So.
And then you mentioned you put a couple of bucks. I didn't put anybody else. I sandwiched all my money basically between 12 and 50-1. Nothing with the favorites, nothing with the long shots, the deep long shots. But you went heavy with the long shots, 100-1. You went 3 there: Almirola, Buescher, and McDowell. By the way, CJ went Buescher, Keselowski, and then you also put a buck each on Burton and Haley.
Yeah, why not? Burton's starting to run a little bit better, and he's a Ford. Notice there's a theme there other than Haley. I went, hey, Fords have won 7 straight. I'm going to go, if you're going to give me deep numbers like that, weird year, let's try to make up my losses from last week with some of those guys. And
stop your winning streak.
I lost a couple bucks if they don't win. So why not? For being that deep, it's like, might as well.
You see, that's why when you're like running like I understand why you did it. We talked about it last week, but it's so typical. It's what happens when you're running like a winning streak. You don't do anything different, and you went for the big wins with the big drivers, and it didn't work out.
No, almost did with Elliott. I thought he was gonna maybe pull that off on that final restart and make all well again.
Anything could have happened on that final restart. That was crazy.
Yeah, I should have known better than I just thought. By talking to drivers, they didn't expect the race to run like that, and now we know that it's going to run like that. But I just thought road course Chevy drivers should win, and I picked the wrong Chevy. I just never thought Reddick would win 2 straight road courses because we saw the parity. I'm like, I mean, he would have saw a pit going into it, but like, is this guy really going to win 2 straight road courses when?
And he finished second the week before.
He hasn't won on yet. Yep, and I should have known. I picked the wrong. I should have added him as my Chevy driver, but
well, you would have if you had a little bit more money and you didn't go for it. But
that's why we play this game like this.
But again,
or it would have been too easy.
I think the strategy though does make sense in a way. See, that's because that's really what I try to do on every week. Is I always have like 4 or 5 drivers that if they hit, I'm going to make $300 or $400. You know, $250, whatever. Probably why I'm in 3rd place, but if I hit one of those, I can zoom up the standings really fast. You know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, I'm not, CJ is like the type where he's Mr. Consistent with a lot of the favorites. And if he makes 20 to $30 a week, doesn't lose money, he's happy, you know?
Exactly.
That's why he's in 1st place all season.
Yep. That works for him too.
Yeah. So anyway, you can check all this out at racereviewonline.net. Also, again, as we said in the open, we're going to post it's about 4 or 5 minutes of your Q&A.
Yeah, it's on. It's up now. I just checked, so it's there now. So we can.
So we're recording now. If you happen to, by the time you probably watch this video, you're also going to be able to watch that.
The other one should be out.
It'll be back to back posting up on the channel. So check that out. Let us know what you think about that. And you know what? We're also going to end with, let us know what you think about if you would like for us, because we've talked about doing this, and we're thinking about a race. We're just talking about what race could we do it. What would you think about if we did a live race on a Sunday or Saturday night? It all depends. Where all we're doing is it's live and we are just talking about the race. Obviously, we're not going to broadcast it, but you can watch the race with us live and we'll talk about the race. And so it would be a long show, but you know, that's why we got to pick like the shortest race possible. We got to strategize. What do you think would be the shortest race?
Which one we're picking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to look and see which one. Yeah, exactly.
So we'll figure it. Let us know what you think about that, because that's something that, and if there's a specific race that you would like for us to watch live, that's something that we would appreciate your input. All right, Eric, appreciate your time as always. We'll check out for the Q&A, and again, that is with Colton Herta and Felix Rosenquist. Oh, by the way, question each for both of them.
Yeah, there's 3 total, I believe.
Total questions.
3. Yep, talking about contracts. Right. So,
And when's the next IndyCar race?
This weekend, Nashville.
Oh, it is?
Yes, in the streets. I'll be there. I'm going to that one too.
Are you really?
So I'll be
wow.
Yes.
That sounds okay.
Going
that's
down
on
to
Sunday.
Nashville.
Okay. And then the week after that, it's on a Saturday at Illinois. 2 weeks after that.
The week after.
2 weeks after that.
And then,
at Illinois.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, Eric. So enjoy Nashville. And we will talk to you next week before the race at Richmond. And it gets real interesting if Truex and Harvick do not win on Sunday.
Yes, it does. Big time.
See you next week, everybody.